All right, guys. So what I wanted to do is make a couple quick videos in terms of going back a little bit and talking about some methods that we learned in the past. The one we've been covering for our quadratics test. Okay. So these are three factoring examples. Now, another method that we refer to it as is also called zero product property. So on those, you'll hear me abbreviate it to be ZPP. Okay. So there's three different kinds of factoring, and it's based on what do you see in front of you. Okay. Sorry about that. It's the bell. So here, the first problem. This a value is a one. Okay, so that's the first kind of factoring. That's the nice and simple factoring where we look for numbers that add and multiply. So the numbers that multiply to be -4, but also add to be -3, are -4 and +1. Now, the steps for factoring, solved by factoring zero product property, is to factor it, which I just did. Now we have to split it, and then we'll solve each piece. So split means take each part and set it equal to 0, and then solve each part. So I add the 4 over, I add the 4 over. My first answer is +4. I subtract the 1, I get -1 as my answer. Quick, simple factoring. That's because a is 1. Now, in the next one, a is not 1, but there is a GCF. So if we take a look, this 7 is not a 1. But maybe I can divide everything by 7 and simplify my problem, in which case I can. So the problem I'm going to factor is this one right here, x squared minus 2x minus 8. So now, because it's a 1 in front, I can look for numbers that add and multiply. So the two numbers that get me there are -4 and +2. And so it's factored. Now I split it and I'll solve it. So x minus 4 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0. So I add the 4, I get +4. I subtract the 2, I get -2. And there are my two final answers. And the third and final type is when it's not 1 and it does not have a GCF that I can divide. Okay, so I'll do this in a different color so it kind of stands out. So if I look at this 2, I can't divide everything by 2. So that's where I like the slide and divide method. Okay, so I take the 2 and I multiply it by that 30. So x squared plus 17x plus 60 equals 0. Now I've changed the problem. I changed it by multiplying so that I can find numbers that add and multiply. Well, the numbers that I think work are 12 and 5 maybe. So x plus 12, x plus 5. Okay, cool. But it's not factored completely because if I re-multiplied these out and FOILed it, x times x is not 2x squared. So I have to divide each by 2 because I changed it by multiply by 2. I got to divide it by 2. So x plus 6 equals, not equals 0 yet. It's gonna, but there's not there yet. So x plus 6 and x plus 5 halves. So now I take each piece, split it apart, and set it equal to 0. And when I do that, I'll subtract the 6 to get -6 as an answer. I'll subtract the 5 over 2, and I get -5 halves as an answer. And then I'm done. Okay, so three different kinds of factoring. And so there's solved by factoring.